Hi everyone. Today we're going to install additional rear turn indicators on the Segway MAX G3 scooter. Yeah, this electric scooter already comes with factory installed turn signals, but many Max G3 riders agree that the indicators located on the handlebars are hard to see from behind. That's because they're often blocked by your hands or body while riding. What we're going to do is tap into the scooter's existing turn signal wiring, connect additional LEDs to it, and mount our custom setup near the rear fender. For this project, we will need 12 volts yellow or orange COB LED strips, along with about 5 meters of 2-core cable. To house and waterproof the LED strips, we're using the light housing from the A-Light Max kit. We may offer this option to you in the future. In the meantime, you can waterproof your LEDs using transparent heat shrink tubing. Recently, we have created a detailed video guide on how to do this. The link is in the description. Alternatively, you can use 12 volts motorcycle turn signal lights or similar units. Just make sure the lights are powerful enough. Otherwise, the scooter may display a turn indicator error message. Now we'll show you how to avoid that issue. But before starting your own upgrade, make sure you have at least basic soldering skills. It's something you'll have to do even if you buy a pre-wired turn signal kit from online marketplaces. All right, there's quite a bit of work ahead, so let's get started. First, remove the scooter's turn indicators from the handlebars. Unscrew a bolt holding the indicator housing in place, then gently pull the indicator housing out to detach it. Repeat the same steps on the other side. Next, unscrew the bolt located behind the dashboard, followed by the 2 bolts underneath it, positioned near the scooter's headlight. Finally, remove the dashboard itself. Before connecting any additional lights, it's important to understand how the system works to avoid mistakes. Each indicator housing contains 2 lights, one for the front and one for the rear, and each has its own power supply. In our case, the red and black wires power one light, while the yellow and green wires power the other. The red and yellow wires are positive, and the black and green wires are negative. Even though each light has its own power supply, if you disconnect one of them, let's say the rear one, the scooter will throw an error message. Our initial idea was to replace the scooter's rear turn indicator with a custom one. This approach would have allowed us to use an extra set of connectors, similar to the original ones, so we could plug our LED strips directly into the scooter's indicator system without cutting any wires and soldering the lights in place. Unfortunately, that didn't work. When we connected our custom LED strip in place of one of the scooter's indicators, the scooter still displayed an error message. Next, we reconnected the rear indicator and soldered our custom lights directly to its wires. As you can see, the LED strip didn't light up at all. This was only resolved by using a longer and therefore more power-hungry LED strip. However, in that case, the original indicator either became noticeably dimmer or stopped working altogether. The last option we tried was connecting both scooter indicators to a single power supply, while using the other one to power our custom LEDs. The good news is that this worked, but there's one trick you should know. Since the combined power consumption of both scooter indicators is higher than that of our short LED strip, we still received an error message, even though all the lights were working. So, if you're okay with a faster blinking rate and an error message appearing on your display when you activate the indicators, you can use any 12V LEDs for your setup. The error won't affect the scooter or the lights themselves. However, if you prefer a normal blinking speed and no error message on the display, you'll need to use more powerful LEDs or a longer LED strip. As you can see, when we connected a LED strip that was twice as long, the error message disappeared, and we also achieved a standard blinking frequency. The specifications of this LED strip are 12 volts, 400 LEDs, and 10 watts per meter. The total length of the 2 LED strips we used was 30 centimeters, which corresponds to 120 LEDs with a total power of 3 watts. So 3 watts is the minimum power you should aim for to avoid getting an error message. The hardest part is done. Now let's move on to the assembly. It's pretty easy. Take 2 cables, each 2.5 meters long. Feed one end of each cable into the opening leading to the stem, and the other end into the opening on the handlebar tube. Run the cable ends that you inserted into the handlebar tube all the way through to each end of the tube, then pull them out. Make sure all your wires are stripped and tinned. If everything is ready, let's continue. First, we'll connect our cable to the power supply of one of the scooter's indicators. It doesn't matter whether it's the front or the rear one. Before soldering the wires together, make sure you've slipped heat shrink tubing onto them so you can insulate the connection afterward. Alternatively, you can use insulation tape. All right, now solder the wires, making sure to keep the polarity correct. Once that's done, connect the positive wires of both scooter indicators together and do the same with the negative wires. Then solder them to the remaining power supply wires coming from the scooter. Finally, use insulation tape to insulate both connections. Now tuck all the cables back inside the handlebar tube and reinstall the indicator housing, securing it with the bolt. Then repeat the same steps on the other side. Once that's done, reassemble the dashboard as well, because we're finished with this part of the scooter. The next step is to route the 2 cables we just connected to the scooter's indicators through the stem, down to the folding mechanism, and then into the neck of the scooter. From there, the cables will split, each one running through the right and left channels along the sides of the scooter's deck, with their final destination being the plastic covers of the rear suspension. After routing the cable through the stem, you'll need to remove the front, upper, and lower deck shells, as well as the battery compartment cover. Start by peeling off the front part of the foot pad. Then unscrew the 2 bolts securing the upper shell to the deck. We've replaced our front upper shell with 2 light housings, so don't be surprised if it looks different. In your case, it will be a solid black plastic piece, but it's removed in exactly the same way. Now, turn the scooter upside down and remove the lower deck shell, which is also secured by 2 bolts. Finally, unscrew all the bolts securing the battery cover and remove it as well. Now you have access to the opening of the scooter's neck. Pull up the cable you routed from the stem, feed it into the side channel of the scooter, and bring it out from the other side. Repeat the same steps on the other side of the scooter, making sure you don't mix up the cables for the left and right indicators. The final step is to connect the cables to your custom turn indicators. But before doing that, reassemble the battery compartment along with the upper and lower deck shells. Now we're ready to connect the lights. If the cable is too long, trim it to the desired length. Then strip and tin the wires. After that, connect them to the LED strips or turn signals you've purchased. Check that everything is working as expected before proceeding with the final installation. Since we were using a housing tailored to the scooter's design, our next steps were as follows. Place the LED strips inside the housing, waterproof the assembly with hot glue, unscrew the 2 bolts on the side of the rear fender, position the housing with the lights on the rear suspension plastic cover, and secure it to the rear fender using the same 2 bolts that were removed earlier. And the final step was to hide the cable partly in the channel and partly inside the suspension cover. And voila, here's the result.